whenever you're watching this. It's morning for me, but hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katharine, for those who don't know me. I primarily film lifestyle vlogs with some reading sprinkled in there, but right now I'm gonna try to finish Normal People by Sally Rooney. In my last weekend in my life vlog that I did, I had picked this up from the library, and since then I have started it and I'm only like 60 pages left from finishing it. I did finish Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren, which I was reading in my last weekend in my life vlog. I gave that a 2.5 star. I knew it wasn't gonna be a 5 star like I was saying in my last weekend in my life vlog, but it literally just didn't hit for me. I don't know what it is. I'm not a big fan of all of these really hyped up authors and books on Bookstagram, Book Talk, and BookTube. I don't know what it is. This is just not hitting for me either. I'm probably gonna give it like a 2 star at this point. I'm already like 80% of the way through. Sally Rooney's writing is known to be a little bit different. She doesn't put quotation marks around dialogue, and that's not what's bothering me in this book, to be honest. I was able to easily grasp when people were talking and when they weren't talking. It's just the book in general. It just seems very gray to me. I don't know why it seems like that to me. Sometimes I associate colors with certain experiences, certain people, and even books. So it just seems really gray to me. I don't know if it's because it's set in Ireland that I think it seems like a gray story, because I know the weather there in Ireland, Northern Ireland, Scotland, and England, it rains a lot. But it's not even that. It's just like a very boring book. I don't know if it's because I don't like literary fiction. I've never read a traditionally published literary fiction book before, and I wanted to give this a try because it is so popular. But maybe it's just because I don't like literary fiction in general. Maybe I should just not read it, because I feel like we're just following these two characters into the abyss. There's like really no plot other than them being into each other but not being into each other at the same time. It's just really weird. Both of the characters in this book are also super unlikable to me. For me to be reading a book for a majority of my time, or not the majority of my time, but a big chunk of my time, I want to be able to like the characters. I want to be able to root for them, if that makes sense. I understand that books have to have some form of good and bad in people, but at the same time, generally overall, I want to be rooting for the main characters, if that makes sense, because people aren't perfect. I'm not perfect by any means. I do have some flaws about me, and I don't mind if main characters have flaws about them, but at the same time, like, I want to generally like the characters that I'm reading, if that makes sense, and I'm just not liking them in general. Do you know what I mean? But I'm gonna try to finish this book today. It took me about 3 days to read this because, first of all, it's really short and there's big lettering in this, so it did go by pretty fast. But at the same time, I just wanted to get it over with. That's the reason why I'm trying to read it so fast, so that I don't have to read it anymore. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna finish this today because I only have like 60 pages left. So let me go ahead and do that. About this book until I was finished with it, but I wanted to come on here because this is so infuriating. I was initially gonna give this book a 2 star because even though I didn't enjoy the book, I was still gonna give it 2 stars because I could see possibly why other people would like the book, but it's gonna get a 1 star from me now. I'm gonna finish the book. I have like 30 pages left, but they just mentioned, it's not a spoiler by the way, they just mentioned that they went to a Gaza protest, okay? I wasn't gonna make this political, but I guess I am now. you know what? It's not even political because it's a human issue, not a political issue. I don't support Gaza, I don't support Hamas, and I don't support Palestine. There, I said it. A lot of Bookstagram and Book Talk and BookTube people will say that they're for the Palestinians and all this and that and everything else. So you know what? I'm not going to apologize for bringing this up because I'm on the opposite side. I think that anyone who supports Palestine is supporting terrorism. There's no differentiation. Hamas is the elected political party. They're not even a political party, okay? They're an internationally recognized terrorist group. And they were elected in to rule over Palestine and the Gaza Strip, okay? I don't care. October 7th of 2023 was horrific. They completely and utterly were barbaric on that day to the Israeli people. If you are in support of Palestine, if you are in support of Hamas and Gaza, you are supporting terrorism. I do not care. You are. It's a fact. If you support a country that has willingly elected a terrorist organization to rule over their country, you are in fact supporting terrorism. That's why this book is getting a 1-star from me, because I don't support books or people or anything that supports terrorism. It's not okay. Of course, I don't like violence. I want the general Palestinian population to be at peace with the Israelis, but at the same time, they willingly elected Hamas into power. So until the Palestinians as a whole want peace with the Israeli people, I will always assume that anything associated with Palestine is associated with terrorism. Simple as that. I have not seen one Palestinian speak out against what happened on October 7th, 2023. So until I see someone, a Palestinian in particular, speak out against October 7th, 2023, when Hamas raided and obliterated Israel like they did, I will just assume that the Palestinian people as a whole are terrorists. I don't care. I literally don't care, because that's what they are. Jeez, now they're mentioning anti-abortion as if like that's a bad thing to support. This is just gonna dwindle down and dwindle down on my rating. Can I give like a 0-star? Oh my gosh, like literally, this is so bad. So I just finished Normal People by Sally Rooney, and it's definitely getting a 1-star from me. The first word that came out of my mouth when I finished it was weird. And that's telling you something. This isn't a spoiler by any means because it's in the synopsis of the book on the inside cover. But essentially it's about this girl and this guy who started having a thing for each other ever since high school. They end up going to the same college together, and even though they were never officially boyfriend and girlfriend, they always hooked up and said that they loved each other, and they were always somehow in each other's lives. So essentially the whole entire book is just about them navigating high school and college together without ever being in a relationship with each other, but still acting like they were in a relationship, if that makes sense. They would go off and like date other people, or they would have separate friend groups, but at the end of the day, they would still have sex with one another or do relationship type things together, like go on dates and things like that. It was just really odd to me. This is a spoiler, so if you don't want to hear this, skip 30 seconds into the future, okay? But even by the end of the book, they don't even get together officially as boyfriend and girlfriend. That really annoyed me. That is just infuriating to think that I just read an almost 300-page book and they still don't get together as boyfriend and girlfriend officially. It's just so pointless to me that I read this whole entire book and they still don't get together officially. I understand that this is a literary fiction, So maybe that's just the whole point of the book, is maybe to have some underlying meaning to the story other than having some sort of plot. But it just was so annoying to me that they never actually ended up together. Okay, spoiler section is over, but another thing that infuriated me, which initially got it down to a 1 star, is I initially was going to give it a 2 star because I could maybe see why people liked the book, but it almost had these like political undertones throughout the book, which kind of solidified at the end when they made certain statements. And it's not really even political statements because they're just human rights situations, if that makes sense. So for one, they mention the 2 main characters going to a Gaza protest, and I personally just don't agree with Palestine in general, especially after the October 7th, 2023 situation. If you support Gaza or support Palestine in any way, you are supporting terrorism, and I think that is a humanitarian issue. It's not very much a political issue at this point. Palestine willingly elected Hamas as their governing power, and Hamas is internationally recognized as a terrorist organization. So if you support Palestine or the Gaza Strip, then you support terrorism. It's simple as that. Secondly, they were mentioning things about anti-abortion people as if being anti-abortion is a bad thing and that you should support abortion. As someone who is a Christian, I do not agree with abortion whatsoever. I was once pro-choice, but when I was living in Florida, I was going to this church and they had someone from a pro-life center talk during one of the sermons, and it completely changed my mind. I walked in pro-choice and left pro-life. So I just don't agree with abortion whatsoever. So when they mention people who are anti-abortion as like almost like bad people, that just knocked it down even more for me. Overall, this is just a 1 star for me. I do not recommend it whatsoever. Not only is the story so bland and so boring and gray, but it also promotes things that I just don't agree with at all. I don't know how this is some people's favorite books. One of the main reasons why I read this book is because one of my favorite booktubers says that this is their favorite book, and now I'm gonna have to unfollow her because after finding out that this book is her favorite book and it has a lot of things that I, as a person and humanitarian wise, just don't agree with, she probably aligns with that stuff. She probably supports abortion. She probably supports what has gone on with Palestine. I just can't follow someone who agrees with that kind of stuff because for me, it's more than just a political issue, like I was saying, it's a humanitarian thing. So yeah, I just finished Normal People by Sally Rooney, and I do not plan on reading any of her other books after this, especially with it being a 1 star. I don't know what I'm gonna read next. I do want to maybe read something that's more fall now, so we'll see. I do have some fantasy books and more wintry type, fallish type books that are meant for cooler weather, like Harry Potter. I am going through the Harry Potter series. The last book that I finished was the 5th book, which was Order of the Phoenix, so I just have books 6 and 7 left. I don't know if I'm going to pick up book 6 just yet because I want to read some other books on my TBR, so I don't know if I'll mention what I'm reading next in this vlog necessarily, but it will be in one of my reading wrap-ups. I do want to film reading wrap-ups at the end of every month because I feel like not just for you guys to see what I read, but also for me to keep me accountable for reading, because I don't want to get into book slumps and then just stop reading, if that makes sense. I want to push myself to read. Even if I don't feel like reading, I want to, because it is generally enjoyable for me to read. Of course, I don't want it to become a chore for me to read, but I also don't want to not read, if that makes sense. So yeah, I don't know what I have planned for the rest of the weekend. Tomorrow is Monday, so I might go to Boston for the day because fares on the train tend to be cheaper during weekdays. And I've been wanting to go to the Boston Public Library. I did get a Boston Public Library card, if that makes sense, about 2-ish years ago, and I haven't really used it. I did go to the Boston Public Library to get the library card, but I didn't check out any books. So I maybe want to do that tomorrow and just have like a Boston day because I can. I don't know if that'll actually happen, but we'll see. I still don't have my car, so maybe that's part of the reason why I want to go to Boston, because I can go there easily on the train, and I actually prefer going to Boston on the train. That way I don't have to drive in, pay for parking. I just get really stressed out driving in the city. I'm not a city girl through and through. I literally hate the city, if that makes sense. Well, no, I don't hate the city, actually. I love the city. I just don't think I could live there. I did live there for about a year, and never again. I learned my lesson, and I will forever be not country girl per se, but a suburban girl, if that makes sense. We'll see what the rest of the today holds for me, but tomorrow I definitely, well, not definitely, probably will go into Boston. So yeah. Some TikToks, and then I just had some lunch too. I think we're gonna go out on the boat today. It's not gonna be like a boat day where I get a bathing suit on and go in the water and things. It's a little bit chilly out right now. It's 72, but it doesn't feel like it's 72. It feels a little cooler out right now. Like I mentioned in vlogs in the past, we're gonna try to go on the boat as much as we can until the weather's not nice enough to, if that makes sense. So as long as the weather is decent enough, we're gonna go out on the boat. Because here in New England, we only have a limited time that we can go out on the boat, because in the winter, it's way too gross out to go out and way too cold. So I'm gonna change this dress into something more fitting for the boat. So let me go ahead and do that and take you along. Not too long ago. I took a shower, did my hair, and now I'm gonna lay in bed. I'm still not sure if I'm gonna go to the Boston Public Library tomorrow, because I was thinking if I took a book out of the library, then that means I have to go all the way back to Boston to return it. So I'm still unsure if I want to go to the Boston Public Library tomorrow, but we'll see. I think it would be really fun, but just the logistics of it would make it sort of complicated. But who doesn't want to go to Boston again? It's just an excuse for me to go there for a second time. But before I head to bed, I think I'm gonna start a new book. Since it is coming up on fall, I really want to get into thrillers. I don't even think I've read a thriller before, but I want to give it a try to see if it's something that I would like. So I'm gonna start this book. You don't even know what it is because it doesn't have the dust jacket on it. It's The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I've heard so many good things about this. Some of the book talk, booktube, bookstagram people that I follow say that this is a really great thriller book. Specifically Haley Pham, I don't know if you know about her. She says that this is one of her favorite thriller books of all time. So I'm gonna give it a try. It doesn't seem too long. I just checked and it's a little over 300 pages. So I hope it's good. I'm really excited to get into thrillers. One of the tunnels going into Boston was closed, so that's why it was so cheap that time. But now I'm gonna have to come on weekends now because I thought weekends were more expensive because it's $10 for the weekend. They have this like weekend pass where you can use it like any time throughout the weekend for only like $10. So now I'm gonna have to come on weekends now, which for me isn't ideal because the only day I have off during the weekends is Sunday, and also I feel like weekends are just far more busier going into Boston, and I like to avoid the crowds. That's why I wanted to come today on Monday, and now it's even more expensive, so might as well just go on the weekends from now on because it's cheaper. So I did end up making it to the Boston Public Library. I apologize for the noise. I am in the city and someone's water pressuring the stairs at the library right now. But I did make it here. I know I was unsure before, but I decided to just come because I wanted something fun to do, especially not having my car still. It's still getting worked on. And since I haven't used my Boston Public Library card in the nearly 2 years that I've had it, I wanted to come by and actually check out a book. I don't know if I'll start it in this vlog because I just started reading The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager last night, but it's probably going to be in one of my reading wrap-ups or maybe even a reading vlog. I don't have a particular book in mind. I definitely want to pick up something that's fall-ish, so maybe a thriller, maybe just a cozy mystery, something like that. Who knows what I'll pick up, but you'll see it in this video, but I'm not too sure if I'll start reading it in this video, if that makes sense. But I'm also going to try to explore the city a little bit too while I'm here, because that train ticket this morning threw me for a loop. I thought it was $4 to get into the city round trip. It ended up being $24 to get into the city round trip. For some reason I thought it was $4 because the last time I came on a Monday it was $4, but that's because a tunnel was closed coming into the city, so they made it cheaper just for like that day or like however long they were doing that for. But now I know just to come on weekends now so that I can spend the $10 on that weekend pass. But let's go inside. I'm excited to go in. It's like literally one of the prettiest buildings that I've ever seen in my life. I would actually get married here. I don't know if you can see like right behind me. There's like a wedding going on actually. It's so cute. I think I can still go in with them doing that. I think the library is still open to the public if weddings are going on, but I think that would be so cool. Like when and if I ever get married, I think this would be a cool location to get married in. But let's head inside now. To the main library portion of the Boston Public Library, I just had to walk through the most beautiful little courtyard area with this little fountain and garden. So stunning. Okay, I have to look at this directory because literally this is so massive. It's so funny because the main part of the library where like you check out things is so vastly modern and different than the front half of the library, because the front half of the library is like the old historic looking, very picturesque, like stereotypical library that you would think of like the epitome of what a library is. And then like the back half is like the actual library where like you check out the books, and it's like so modern and different and like unique and very city-like, which is so funny. But I have to look at this directory because I have no idea where I am. Go by alphabetical order of authors' last names, so maybe I kind of need to know somewhat what I'm getting. Maybe if I pick out like a general author that I want to go for, or some general titles that I might be looking for, maybe that would help me a little bit, because here at the Boston Public Library they kind of section their books off into very general sections. Like they have just a fiction section and a non-fiction section, if that makes sense. Like they don't have like a fantasy section and a romance section and a mystery section and a biography section. It's just like all over the place. It's just like all just fiction or all just non-fiction. So maybe I should try to find something that I can narrow in on. So I'm not too sure where I'm gonna head, but you'll see what book I pick out. Actually the church. I think it's called the North Church, if I'm not mistaken. It's where Paul Revere put like the two lanterns in the window. to signify or to relay the message that the redcoats were coming. And then there's this beautiful fountain here too. It's not too far of a walk from Mike's Pastry, which is where I got a cannoli. It's become kind of a tradition for me to get a cannoli every single time I come to Boston. Specifically, their Florentine one. It's like this harder shell of a cannoli, and it is almost like, I don't even know how to describe it, to be honest. I'll just show you. It's so much better than like a regular cannoli crust, if that's what you call it. So this is what it looks like. It looks chocolate on the screen, but it's definitely not chocolate. It has more of like it has more of a candied flavor, if that makes sense. And it has chocolate chips on the ends, and obviously the cannoli filling. Oh my gosh, it's not a cannoli crust, it's a cannoli shell. What am I talking about? Am I even Italian? I don't even look Italian, but I am, okay? Trust me, my mom. Her last name is Cusumano, so very Sicilian, if you ask me. But I'm gonna eat this, it's delicious, it's one of my favorites, and it's kind of become, like I said, a tradition for me to get a cannoli every single time I come to Boston. Well, that was a little fun weekend in my life. I went on the boat yesterday and I finished a book, and then I went to Boston today, got a book from the Boston Public Library and a cannoli, and then now I'm heading home. I'm gonna end the vlog here. Thank you all for watching. If you watched this far, please leave a unicorn emoji, because y'all are unicorns just like me. But anyway, do all the YouTube things that you know how to do, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!